sa pagsasaliksik, sa pagbabahagi, at sa pakikibahagi. Saan na nga ba tayo patungo? Paikot-ikot, paakyat, pataas, para sa serbisyong hindi basta-basta lumiliko. Tara! Malay mo, para ka rito. Tara, patungo sa mas malawak na saklaw ng mundo.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Philippine Geomatic Symposium 2021. We shall be starting the event proper in a few minutes, but before we get to that, we would like our attendees to note some very important house rules observed during this event.
Okay, thanks for that, Tinette. First, kindly disable your audio and video throughout the webinar to avoid unnecessary noises during the presentation. Also, set your complete name in your Zoom account for proper identification and acknowledgement. So that's for me, it's 𝗏𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗽𝗏𝗀, and for my partner, it's Tinette Tikman.
Hi. Yes, and also some reminders. If you have questions, or you may use the Q&A function of the Zoom webinar. The chat box may be used for greetings and other announcements. And also, please keep your messages respectful and relevant as online courtesy. If you wish to ask your questions live after the presentations, please use the raise hand function of Zoom so the host can allow you to unmute.
Yes, and lastly, in sending your questions at the Q&A window, please include the name of the persons to which the question is directed to. For example, if you have questions to Engineer 𝗏𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗽𝗏, please state or type in to Engineer 𝗏𝗶𝗶𝗏𝗏 and state your question.
Yes, okay, thank you, Homer. As we aim for an inclusive and impactful geospatial science research community, we highly encourage everyone to provide constructive comments that will help our presenters improve their research.
And there we have it. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, my partner, Tinette. It's been quite a while.
Yes.
So now let's have a quick check with our participants. So participants, kindly react with the thumbs up button if you're okay with the house rules and if you're already here. So may I see some thumbs up from our participants if that's available for you guys on your Zoom screen? So can you see some thumbs up there? Okay. So as we just check some technical preparations that we have, so maybe we can still play the video before we formally begin Philippine Geomatic Symposium 2021. Okay. Okay, so fortunately, no thumbs up available, but at least we're seeing your reaction. So again, if you have any comments or greetings, kindly use our chat box. So kindly greet each and every one of the participants as well as the panelists. So there, we're seeing some thumbs up on the chat box. Okay, so I think we're going to play some video and we're going to start the program afterwards. Thank you.
Saan nga ba tayo patungo? Paikot-ikot. Paakyat. Pataas. Sa bawat silid, sa bawat sukat, sa init, sa lamig, sa bawat pagbagsak, sa muling pagangat. sa pagsasaliksik, sa pagbabahagi, at sa pakikibahagi. Saan na nga ba tayo patungo? Paikot-ikot, paakyat, pataas, para sa serbisyong hindi basta-basta lumiliko. Tara! Malay mo, para ka rito. Tara, patungo sa mas malawak na saklaw ng mundo.
All right. So we will now be opening the Philippine Geomatic Symposium 2021 with the Philippine National Anthem followed by an invocation.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, helas ang sinakalan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa mandulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mong pagaw, ay hinatang tula, kawin sa pagkayang minamahal, ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na naghihinig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan ang may di magdidinig. Lumalang araw ng walhati pagsingka, huwag langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya na pagkay mga akin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Dear God, thank you for allowing us today to meet and share our knowledge and time with one another in this webinar. We are truly grateful for all the blessings you have bestowed upon us. May you extend your divine wisdom to our speaker so that he would be able to impart effectively his God-given knowledge to all of us. Bless the participants as well so that they would be able to glean the vital information from this activity and spread what we've learned in the spirit of your love and generosity. May we realize that this activity should glorify your name. Amen.
So once again, we welcome everyone to this year's Philippine Geomatics Symposium, or PhilGEOS 2021, with its theme, Geomatics in the New Normal, Shifting Paradigms in a Changed World. We would like to introduce ourselves as your hosts for the next 3 days. We're both pioneering members of the Environmental Systems Applications of Geomatics Engineering Research and Development Laboratory, or the envisaged laboratory of the Dr. 𝗍𝐶𝐵𝗵𝗶𝗹𝗍. I think our advisor is here. Good morning, Sir Ariel. I'm 𝐵𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗽𝗍𝗶, your senior data scientist from 𝗂𝐵INA Business Analytics and Strategy Incorporated.
Yes, and I'm Tinette Ticman, a junior research analyst of the UPTCAGP project, and live here from the University of the Philippines. So Homer, it's been a while, 4 years, I think, to be exact, when we last hosted an event for the department. So for those who are curious, me and Homer, we go way back during our researcher days here at the Melchor Hall. So shout out also to our colleagues from the PhilLiDAR project.
Yes, Tinette, I know, right? From ACRS, GNSS Asia, PhilLiDAR map distribution, and of course, previous iterations of PhilGEOS. We love being in front of everyone. That's why when we were invited to be hosts for this year's event, we can't help but say yes to our lab mates, Sir Gary, Sir Art, and of course, Ma'am Roshan. Now, aside from acknowledging how we miss being together hosting the gatherings of geospatial experts and enthusiasts, we would also like to acknowledge the people that made this virtual event possible.
Yes. And this PhilGEOS event is particularly different from the previous symposiums that we held because we are doing this virtually over Zoom. And we thank you very much to our technical team from the UP Computer Center. And we're so happy also to see everyone again, even if it's only virtual, because it means that despite of all the challenges that we've encountered over the past years, we woke up, we got up, and we showed up. And for that, we'd like to affirm everyone with the numbers of 71 participants and counting in attendance. So you are doing a great job. So can we have some heart reactions perhaps, or type in great in capital letters in the chat box just to see our attendees? Yes, thank you very much.
Keep it coming, guys.
For
Come
those
Any reaction will do.
And also, if you don't feel that great, well, type in great still, because it's law of attraction, everyone. So we're going to have a great symposium today.
Yes, just 7 to 8 weeks for the remainder of the year. So that should be a great remainder of the year for us, everyone.
Yes, also.
So thank you very much. Yeah, keep coming those comments and those reactions. And yes, it is indeed great. And we are very happy to also see that despite the challenges of the pandemic, the researches and the advances in the field of geomatics has continued. It has adapted and flourished even in the new normal, which is also the theme of this year's event. Again, it's geomatics in the new normal, shifting paradigms in a changed world.
Yes, and the plenary and technical sessions prepared by our organizers will highlight these advances and applications. Speaking of our organizer, we'd also like to take this opportunity to appreciate their efforts in making the event possible. And from the announcements, programs and communication, and even the design and theme of the event. So as you can see, they've prepared great Zoom backgrounds for us. By the way, you can also access these backgrounds from the email sent by the organizers before the event.
Yes, and of course, speaking of the organizers, this event is brought to you by the UP Department of Geodetic Engineering and the UP Training Center for Applied Geodesy and Photogrammetry, together with the International Society for Photogrammetry and Remote Sensing. In collaboration, of course, with the UP Geomatics Alumni Association. So we'd like to invite everyone who have already graduated to please register as your ex-officer. And of course, we also have our sponsors, Supermap and GeoSpectrum. So you might be asking who Supermap Software Corporation is. They are an innovative GIS platform software and service provider founded in 1997 in Beijing. Supermap focuses on providing innovative GIS platform software and solutions for various industries such as smart city, land management, real estate, urban planning, pipeline management, and public services.
Yes, and the GeoSpectrum Marketing Services is a Filipino-owned business entity that caters to the growing need for accurate, up-to-date, and timely information to support decision-making and planning activities. GeoSpectrum distributes high-resolution satellite imagery and value-added products that address a wide range of applications.
Yes, and of course, to formally open the event and welcome our participants, we have here the Chairman and Director of the Department of Geodetic Engineering and Training Center for Applied Geodesy and Photogrammetry from the University of the Philippines College of Engineering, none other than Dr. 𝐸𝐶𝐺𝐵 Sarmiento. Hi, Sir Jack, step right up. Okay, so as we just prepare for the video prepared by Sir Jack, just wait for a few more minutes. So again, this event is brought to you by the UP Department of Geodetic Engineering, the Training Center for Applied Geodesy and Photogrammetry, in collaboration with the UP Geomatics Alumni Association, Supermap, and GeoSpectrum Marketing. Of course, all papers will be published by the International Society for Photogrammetry and Remote Sensing. So technical team, you have it ready?
Good day, everyone. Welcome to the Philippine Geomatics Symposium. PhilGEOS is a biennial meet of geospatial minds both here and abroad. Now, the past symposiums, we did it face-to-face. But this 2021, we are doing it online for the first time in history. This is a very timely immersion as we talk about harnessing the power of geomatics for the new normal. Now, 2020 and 2021 has no doubt become very challenging. You're forced to isolate, quarantine, and adjust everything in our lives. The way we socialize, the way we work, the way we do business, they all change in the most unimaginable ways. Now that we have slowly adjusted to this dynamic, a new normal emerges, one that puts safety in the spotlight. Now we have very interesting talks for you in the next 3 days. We thank everyone who participated in our pre-conference. I believe we have more of that after the PhilGEOS. Now, in this new age, there will always be more challenges, more opportunities, and more partnerships. I thank the organizers of this event for making the new normal PhilGEOS happen. They worked long days for this, and it's a pleasure to see the fruits of their hard work. To our dear guests and participants, again, welcome. Enjoy the talks, and let's have a great new normal together.
All right. So thank you, Sir Jack, for your warm welcome to our participants. So even if our event is just virtual, it doesn't mean that we cannot have a meaningful experience for the next 3 days. So now, as we've mentioned earlier, our organizers have prepared a program putting geomatics in the front and center of the new normal. So we can what can we expect from the rest of the event? Here to give us an overview of the PhilGEOS 2021, we have Ms. Rose-Ann Ramos, co-chair of the PhilGEOS 2021 Organizing Committee. Ma'am Rosie, what do you have in store for us for the next 3 days?
Yes, thank you, Tina and Homer. Good morning. Hello, everyone. So I hope you're having a good day. Let me share the important details and highlights of this event. As stated earlier by our hosts and our department chairman, Dr. Sarmiento, this is the first conference held online by the Department of Geodetic Engineering of the University of the Philippines, Diliman. Faculty members, staff, and students of the department constitute the organizing committee of the Philippine Geomatic Symposium, or widely known as PhilGEOS. Since 2012, note that it has been almost a decade ago. So PhilGEOS promoted numerous research and technical works from international and local participants from various fields of expertise. This year, 2021, is very special, and we are focused on this theme, Geomatics in the New Normal, Shifting Paradigms in a Changed World. More than a year since the lockdown due to COVID-19, geospatial technologies have become indispensable tools in the management of the pandemic, with applications ranging from contact tracing in hospital care facilities inventory to national and global mapping of the health, environmental, and socio-economic impacts of COVID-19. This virtual event will provide a venue to introduce such geospatial tools and technologies in support of a science and data-based approach of managing COVID-19. We also aim to discuss other applications relevant to our current situation and other topics of interest of our colleagues in the geomatics community and allied fields. This year's conference is composed of a pre-conference event which featured 3 workshop sessions on open data and related applications promoted by our local partner organization, Pista ng Mapa. Pista ng Mapa, or Festival of Maps, is a free and open outreach activity to generate public interest. Also, they are advocating the use of open geodata, promoting free and open source software for geospatial applications, gather and grow enthusiasts, users in the public and private sectors, and local communities in the Philippines. It is organized by our volunteer advocates from the local OpenStreetMap, 𝗍𝐿, Phos4G, and other mapping communities. This event was held yesterday in the afternoon, and we are very grateful to all our resource speakers and to all our participants who attended the sessions. The conference proper will run for 3 days from today, November 17 to 19, 2021 in the morning. Our sessions include 1 keynote session, 2 plenary sessions, 3 poster sessions, and 4 parallel technical sessions. We are pleased to announce that all submitted technical papers approved by the editorial committee and presented by the authors in this event are to be published in the International Society for Photogrammetry and Remote Sensing Archives. In behalf of the PhilGEOS 2021 Organizing Committee, I am extending my congratulations to all authors for their valuable contributions. In addition to the publication to ISPRS archives, the PhilGEOS 2021 Organizing Committee will also provide various awards. There will be 4 Best Paper Awards given to the selected works from oral presentations and poster presentations with the corresponding cash incentive. Another award, unique to this year's lineup of activities, is the SuperMap Best Poster Award. So thank you, SuperMap, for the sponsorship. There will be 3 papers to be awarded in this category. And the last award is the Best Oral Presenter Award, to be given to top 4 papers chosen among our oral presentations in the conference. For the schedule of our conference, here's a summary of the sessions. Detailed program is available in the link provided in this slide, and you may also view updates on our official website and social media platforms. get to know more about our colleagues in different sectors in our keynote and plenary sessions. Our sincerest thanks to all our dear speakers who are already online today and will be joining our sessions and in the succeeding sessions later on. To all our generous sponsors, again, Supermap and Geospectrum, to all our partner institutions, Vista ng Mapa and UP Geomatics Alumni Association, and to all our attendees and participants. A warm welcome again to all, and we look forward to your active participation in the upcoming sessions. Thank you and have a good day.
Okay, so thank you very much again, Ma'am Roshan, for walking us through the program and of course to the memory lane. I remember attending the first PhilGEOS back in 2012. It was an event for our students to present our research work from our classes, and now it has come a long way to being an international event, and I feel very proud of the GE department for making this happen. And definitely, we all look forward to those advances in geomatics research and excited for those who will bag the awards that you've mentioned.
Yes.
As mentioned by Ma'am Roshan, prior to today, the PhilGEOS Organizing Committee, together with the volunteer advocates from the local OpenStreetMap, OSGeo, Phos4G, that's free and open source software for geoinformatics, and other MAPI communities who are behind the Pista ng Mapa, that's Festival of Maps, our international colleagues, held the first 2 days of this week conference event. It was well attended with participants coming all over the Philippines and across the globe, or should I say across the geoid.
Yes, and they covered such topics as QGIS upskilling, becoming a cloud-native geospatial specialist, and introduction to OpenStreetMap. So day 3 will be held on Saturday. More details were actually mentioned by our co-chairs just a while ago, and we also particularly like the free shirt.
Yes, and now we shall be moving to one of the highlights of our events, the keynote session to be given by one of our distinguished guests. Tinet?
Yes, our first keynote speech is from the Honorable Fortunato de la Peña, Secretary of the Department of Science and Technology. He is a Filipino engineer and professor, and before serving as the Secretary of the DOST, he was the Undersecretary for Science and Technology Services from 2001 to 2014. He has served the department in various capacities since 1982. So please welcome to the spotlight, Secretary Fortunato de la Peña.
UPTCAGP Director Dr. Sar Jacqueline Sarmiento, PhilGEOS Co-Chairs Dr. 𝗏𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗽𝗏𝗍 and Assistant Professor Roseanne Ramos. Dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant day to everyone. We would like to thank the organizers of PhilGEOS for inviting the Department of Science and Technology to be part of this symposium. We value this event as we get a chance to be with our researchers and share the efforts we are doing in this changing world. We hope that we can also entice our participants today to collaborate with us through projects and programs that can help our fellow Filipinos grapple the effects of the pandemic and climate change. Over the past decade, DOST has been investing around 10 billion to support various programs that are related to geomatics. These programs are geared towards maximizing the potential of available technologies for the full benefit of the Filipino people. These programs also support our need for human resource development to meet the demands for more researchers, scientists, and engineers in the country who will come up with the innovations that we need. The projects that we support can be beneficial in governance, agricultural productivity, land use and urban development planning, environmental and natural resources management, and disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation. Let me share with you some of the programs and projects that we have supported relative to geomatics. The digital era has catalyzed the generation of large amounts of data that are vital in developing support systems. It is in this light that we supported the Smarter Philippines through data analytics, R&D, training, and adoption with the Development Academy of the Philippines. To date, we already have 37,466 Sparta scholars, and you can still avail of these. We also support initiatives for the development of smarter and sustainable cities and communities. The first project we supported is a platform for assessment and tracking of urbanization-related opportunities, or PATURO project, that will provide a data hub as an interface to allow interactive access to the data and enable extraction of insights through GIS, artificial intelligence, and data science. The Fire Check project of UP Cebu was funded by DOST to conduct fire hazard mapping and fire spread modeling for emergency fire responders and officials, strategic planners, and policymakers in Mandaue and Lapu-Lapu, Cebu. Fire Check's hazard maps identify highly dense residential areas in the cities that are prone to fire incidents, taking into consideration the construction materials used, building density, and urban heat islands. The information from these maps, models, and simulations can be used to prevent fire spread among the households, improve evacuation plans, and investment plans. Fire Check Attribution App, a mobile application, was also developed to display the community's 3D maps tagged with information necessary for pre-fire response planning, such as building properties and road attributes. This was tested in Barangay Basak, Lapu-Lapu City, and is now undergoing modifications to improve its fire safety and prevention features. Fire Check project can provide a smart solution for the people against fire disasters. Project GeoRisk-PH, on the other hand, is a multi-agency initiative led by the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PhilGEOS, that aims to be the Philippines' central source of information for accurate and efficient hazards and risk assessment to help the government increase the nation's resilience to natural hazards. All of the front-end or external features, GeoMapper, Hazard Hunter, and GeoAnalytics can be found at www.georisk.gov.ph. The website acts as a supplementary protocol and platform to share hazards, exposure, and risk information to help people, communities, local governments, and national agencies prepare and plan how to reduce the risks for natural hazards. The fourth feature acts as a back-end platform for the partner agencies to upload, edit, quality check, and download data. Spearheaded by the University of the Philippines, Diliman, in collaboration with the University of Glasgow and Brunei University, London, the catchment susceptibility to hydrometeorological events or sediment flux and geomorphic change as flood risk in the Philippines aims to use different tools and models to assess river styles and associated dynamism, quantify sediment budgets and model flood risk, and create scenario-based numerical morphological modeling. In 2020, a series of workshops were conducted to focus on flood estimation, fluvial geomorphology characterization, and geomorphic change, wherein participants directly experienced the use of a free river analysis software to apply their acquired knowledge and skills on flow estimation, national scale characterization of river channel change from satellite images, and geomorphic change detection. The project team is currently improving its work packages and working on Google Earth Engine code to characterize the amount of sediment transported in Philippine rivers. They had also derived high-resolution topographic models using the combined LiDAR and bathymetric survey data and the like. Then we have GeoSafer Mindanao. or the geoinformatics for the systematic assessment of flood effects and risk for a resilient Mindanao. This is a research program conducted by the PhilLider-1 Mindanao Cluster higher educational institutions consisting of Ateneo de Zamboanga, Caragay State University, Central Mindanao University, Mindanao State University, Iligan Institute of Technology, and the University of the Philippines, Mindanao. It produced highly detailed flood hazard maps using geoinformatics-based technologies such as light detection and ranging or LiDAR, remote sensing, global navigation satellite system, geographic information system, and numerical simulations of flood-prone river basins based on the urgent needs and consistent demands by LGUs across 18 provinces in various parts of Mindanao, specifically Sambasulta, Agusan, Northern Western, and Southeastern Mindanao. Another objective is to capacitate the local government units and other concerned agencies through trainings and seminars for the proper interpretation, utilization, and application of the program outputs and other products. They were able to generate the detailed flood hazard maps of the 97 river basins or watersheds comprising of 121 cities or municipalities in 23 provinces within the 6 regions of Mindanao. With the completion of GeoSafer Mindanao, 56% in terms of the number of cities and municipalities in Mindanao are already with detailed flood hazard maps, corresponding to 78% of the population based on the 2015 population data. Flood hazard maps and other products and publications can be requested from Engineer Miriam Santillan, Program Leader, Caraga State University. Another one is Project Framer. Project Framer seeks to create materials and tools such as mathematical and computer simulation models and maps to prevent, safeguard, and alleviate the adverse impact of flood events on human health and safety, goods, and property. This is in selected riverine towns in Cavite, Batangas, and Quezon provinces. Using LiDAR, it generated high-resolution digital elevation models or DEM data with a resolution of 1 meter by 1 meter and a vertical accuracy of plus/minus 15 centimeters, which is fit to generate reliable flood hazard maps. Risk maps were produced in the project considering the combination of exposure index, vulnerability index, and hazard index. Different parameters were considered in each indices. Weights of each of the factors were determined using analytical hierarchy process through the surveys made with partner LGUs and some experts in this field. The project has completed LiDAR data acquisition, data pre-processing, feature extraction, and feature attribution, cross-section and bathy survey, rainfall data collection, rainfall event data collection, and flood height survey, accomplished vulnerability assessment for the 9 target municipalities, among others. It targets to finalize the harmonization with Mines and Geosciences Bureau or MGB for flood susceptibility maps and the printing of the maps for dissemination to partner LGUs. Using the latest data generated by light detection and ranging or LiDAR technology, researchers from Mapua University has drawn up a proposed drainage master plan for flood-prone municipalities of Infanta, Quezon. The proposed drainage master plan is a product of the combination of data from LiDAR DEMs, standards by DPWH, existing drainage, LGU policies, and existing hydrogeologic data. The coastal sea level rise in the Philippines project seeks to estimate sea level rise in the country. 3 important data sets are considered for this research. Number 1 is the tide gauge data or TG data. Number 2 is satellite altimetry or SA data. And number 3 is the Novel Navigation Satellite System or GNSS observed data that will determine the sea level rise and rate. As an offshoot of the processing of the three data sets, vertical land motion or VML can be quantified or verified. The SLR can be determined more accurately using the method proposed, hence impact to community can be properly assessed. The pandemic highlighted the value of science, technology, and innovation. With these formidable tools, we can come up with evidence-based, people-centric policies and decisions and help us get back on our feet. The completed projects you have seen are now being enjoyed by its target beneficiaries, and we hope to create greater impact in the future. I hope you will be inspired to take on the challenge of putting your ideas to the test and coming up with proposals that will truly benefit our citizens. DOST will always be with you and support you in your quest of making science for the people. Salamat at mabuhay tayong lahat.
Thank you, Secretary de la Peña, for sharing the latest developments in geomatics supported by the DOST. Just to reiterate, we'd like to invite every researchers to heed the call of the department to collaborate on projects and programs. Me and Tinette can attest to the support given by the DOST, given former researchers from the PhilGEOS project, and we've seen how innovative and ingenious colleagues are across the field. As we address pressing issues such as the pandemic and climate change, I personally believe that science is key, but everyone needs to take part, whether it be achieving herd immunity or meeting the 1.5-degree target. Geomatics will be crucial in this new normal as we shift paradigms in this changed world. Now, moving forward to our next speaker, let me introduce our speaker. Our speaker is presently the Director 4 of the Knowledge Management and Information Technology Service of the Department of Health. He is a graduate of BS Biology from the University of the Philippines and Doctor of Medicine from the University of Santo Tomas. University of the East 𝐵𝐵𝐺 Medical Center, rather. He is also a former Assistant Secretary of Health and former spokesperson of DOH. He also served as the director of the National Epidemiology Center and the Bureau of Local Health Systems Development and past president of the Philippine Society for Microbiology and Infectious Disease, or PSMID, and of the Philippine Foundation for Vaccination, or PFV. Let's all welcome none other than Director Enrique A. Tayag.
It is my honor for your invitation to this 8th Philippine Geomatics Symposium, or PhilGEOS 21, Geomatics in the New Normal, Shifting Paradigm in a Changed World. I congratulate the officials and those in the organizers from the UP Department of Geodetic Engineering and the UP Training Center for Applied Geodesy and Photogrammetry. The world has changed because of this pandemic. One of the changes is our reliance on technology to get the work done, while minimizing the spread of transmission. The Department of Health, for example, introduced several digital tools to support the government's COVID-19 response, one of which is the feasibility analysis of syndromic surveillance using spatial-temporal epidemiologic modeling for early detection of disease, or FASTER. This was in collaboration with the DOST, PCHRD, and the Ateneo University. This allowed policymakers to track the outbreak in terms of its progression in affected areas, erstwhile defining geographic clustering and establishing parameters to predict its course and measure the impact of interventions being implemented. We will welcome any innovation in the Geographic Information System and geomatics that can provide us with secure applications or tools that focus on contact tracing, community lockdowns, and COVID-19 vaccination. We have reached out to you. We are hoping that you answer this call. Your organizations will not only provide this assistance, but at the same time influence the science and its application behind geomatics and geographic information systems. I congratulate all of you for your unselfish dedication to your profession and your efforts for making this webinar possible.
Okay, so thank you very much, Dr. Tayag, for that very timely presentation and for sharing the digital tools for monitoring the effect of the pandemic, especially highlighting the application of geospatial technologies. So again, we reiterate the call for research that can apply, or the geospatial technological research that can apply to monitoring the effect of this pandemic. So at this point, we would like to thank both of our keynote speakers for graciously accepting our invitation and providing enlightening and insightful talks this morning. And we really appreciate that. We would like to present our speakers with certificates of appreciation. So please accept our sincerest thanks. Homer, can you read the certificates?
Sure, Tinette. So of course, again, our keynote speakers will be given this certificate. So let's read it first. So this certificate of recognition is proudly presented to, of course, Honorable Fortunato T. de la Peña and Director Enrique Tayag for sharing their valuable expertise as keynote speaker in the Philippine Geomatics Symposium 2021, given the 17th day of November 2021. Of course, signed by Sir 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏
Sorry. For certificate of recognition also for the Director Enrique A. Tayag for sharing his invaluable expertise as the keynote speaker in the Philippine Geomatics Symposium 2021. So it's also given this date, 17th of November 2021. So at this point, the time now is 9:55. So for to give our attendees time to absorb the plenary, the keynote speeches that we heard earlier, we can have a bit of a restroom break for our attendees. So we can have a 15-minute break. So we can resume after 15 minutes. So that's 10:15, right?
Right, Tinette. So see you everyone after 15 minutes. Thank you.
UP is a complete university where we have all the disciplines offered in various colleges. And the way we design our engineering courses, the students to interact with students of other courses, that's a learning that only, I guess, in UP they can get, because the so-called general or interdisciplinary opportunity of learning in UP is broadest just because we have the most number of courses. Only in UP could you do this, I think, consistently.
The cheapest, arguably the best education that you can get. That's why you should go to UP.
I see the UP College of Engineering to be the best institution to take your engineering because of the professors who have taken their PhDs in higher education. The students themselves will be a cream of the crop, as they say. Anybody who's interested in going to UP, please do, although it's very difficult to enter.
There is really a wealth of expertise. Over the years, we have built up also facilities are already up to date and can be used for very good research projects.
There's a lot of things in 𝗣𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗽𝗍 that you can learn outside the classroom, like joining organizations, fraternities, or being involved in other extracurricular student activities, which would probably give a more rounded education.
UP College of Engineering has a history of producing the best engineers in the land.
Engineering is one of the best colleges in the universities. You can't have any other choice.
UP teaches you resilience and resourcefulness, and that's not something that's easily taught. It's something that you learn because of the way you get your UP education. You really have to rely on your wits. Nobody will tell you what to do. You have to figure it out. And those qualities of resilience and resourcefulness are critical when you go out into the real world. Because when you're working, nobody will tell you what to do. But the best people are the ones who can figure things out for themselves.
Engineering school, go for UP. It still has the track record of being one of the best.
The one thing that you learn at the UP College of Engineering is to be resourceful. And because you are taught the fundamentals, the theories, it is easy for you to extend it to different applications.
It's because it's the #1 school. In every survey that comes out, global ranking, Asian ranking, Philippine ranking, it's always #1.
If you're looking for meaningful challenges, solutions to challenges that face our society now and into the future, you will meet people who are passionate about their field, who are willing to mentor you and to take whatever it is that you have and mold it into something better. Start your career here in the UP College of Engineering.
Saan nga ba tayo patungo? Paikot-ikot. Paakyat. Pataas. Sa bawat silid, sa bawat sukat, sa init, sa lamig, sa bawat pagbagsak, At sa muling pagangat,
at isa pang masigabong na palakpakan para sa ating mga bagong genetic engineers! Congratulations!
sa pagsasaliksik, sa pagbabahagi, at sa pakikibahagi. Saan na nga ba tayo patungo? Paikot-ikot, paakyat, pataas, parang sa serbisyong hindi basta-basta lumiliko. Tara! Malay mo, para ka rito. Tara, patungo sa mas malawak na saklaw ng mundo.
UP is a complete university where we have all the disciplines offered in various colleges. And the way we design our engineering courses, the students to interact with students of other courses, that's a learning that only, I guess, in UP they can get, because the so-called general or interdisciplinary opportunity of learning in UP is broadest just because we have the most number of courses. Only in UP could you do this, I think, consistently.
The cheapest, arguably the best education that you can get. That's why you should go to UP.
I see the UP College of Engineering to be the best institution to take your engineering because of the professors who have taken their PhDs in higher education. The students themselves will be a cream of the crop, as they say. Anybody who's interested in going to UP, please do, although it's very difficult to enter.
There is really a wealth of expertise. Over the years, we have built up also facilities are already up to date and can be used for very good research projects.
There's a lot of things in 𝗍𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗽𝗍 that you can learn outside the classroom, like joining organizations, fraternities, or being involved in other extracurricular student activities, which would probably give a more rounded education.
UP College of Engineering has a history of producing the best engineers in the land.
Engineering is one of the best colleges in the universities. You can't have any other choice.
UP teaches you resilience and resourcefulness, and that's not something that's easily taught. It's something that you learn because of the way you get your UP education. You really have to rely on your wits. Nobody will tell you what to do. You have to figure it out. And those qualities of resilience and resourcefulness are critical when you go out into the real world. Because when you're working, nobody will tell you what to do. But the best people are the ones who can figure things out for themselves.
Engineering school, go for UP. It still has the track record of being one of the best.
The one thing that you learn at the UP College of Engineering is to be resourceful. And because you are taught the fundamentals, the theories, and it's easy for you to extend it to different applications.
It's because it's the #1 school. In every survey that comes out, global ranking, Asian ranking, Philippine ranking, it's always #1.
If you're looking for meaningful challenges, solutions to challenges that face our society now and into the future, you will meet people who are passionate about their field, who are willing to mentor you and to take whatever it is that you have and mold it into something better. Start your career here in the UP College of Engineering.
Saan nga ba tayo patungo? Paikot-ikot. Paakyat. Pataas. Sa bawat silid, sa bawat sukat, sa init, sa lamig, sa bawat pagbagsak, At sa muling pagangat,
At isa pang masigabong na palakpakan para sa ating mga bagong genetic engineers! Congratulations!
sa pagsasaliksik, sa pagbabahagi, at sa pakikibahagi. Saan na nga ba tayo patungo? Paikot-ikot, paakyat, pataas, para sa serbisyong hindi basta-basta lumiliko. Tara! Malay mo, para ka rito. Tara, patungo sa mas malawak na saklaw ng mundo.
Good morning again, everyone, and welcome back to the Philippine Geomatics Symposium 2021. Again, this event is organized by the UP Training Center for Geomatics, the UP Department of Geodetic Engineering, and the UP Training Center for Applied Geodesy and Photogrammetry, in collaboration with our gracious partners from the UP Geomatics Alumni Association, with the support of our generous sponsors, the Supermap Software Corporation Limited and Geospectral Marketing Services.
Yes, and earlier we opened the program with messages from our organizers and chair, welcoming everyone in the new normal way of meeting everyone, that is virtually. And for that, once again, we thank the UP Computer Center for making this possible. We are also streaming live on YouTube through the UPDGE and PCAGP channel.
Yes, so speaking of audience, before we proceed with the program proper, let's see first if they are still actively here. So some thumbs up, and we're actually going to play some game of trivia. So just simple instruction, we'll be asking some questions, of course, and other than about the Philippine Geomatics Symposium, and just key in your answer in our chat boxes. Okay, instructions are clear. So perhaps some thumbs up, guys, in the chat box. Okay, so first question. Back in 2013, the second edition of the Philippine Geomatics Symposium was held. So which particular industry was the focus of PhilGEOS and the researches presented? So again, back in 2013, which particular industry was the focus of PhilGEOS and the researches presented? We're seeing some answer. Come on, keep it coming, guys. So again, I think Sir Dominic, Sir Dominic, Sir Ian, their hands are fast. Yes, correct. That's agriculture and forestry. So I think me and Tinette also presented our work on mangrove detection all over the Philippines. So next question, Tinette, kindly do the honors.
Okay. So we used to hold PhilGEOS in different physical venues back then. In 2019, which historical building was the 2019 edition held? So in 2019, where was our venue? Ayan, looks like we have attendees from that particular event. So it's a very monumental building, an historical building, and that the answer is it's in the National Museum. Okay. So I think it's one of the most memorable.
Yes, and to be exact, it's the National Museum of Fine Arts, where we presented 62 oral presentations. We had 2 keynote speakers and 7 plenary speakers. We had 21 posters submitted, 13 sponsors, and about 223 local and international participants. So thank you everyone for participating in this short game of trivia. Moving forward to our next session, Tinette, do the honors.
Okay, so just to recap on the earlier keynote speeches, we had our keynote sessions delivered by Dr. Fortunato de la Peña from the DOST and Dr. Enrique Tayag from the Department of Health, both highlighting the importance of research that we do in the fields of geomatics and its applications in the field of disaster and risk management, and also pandemic monitoring and response, and all in for increasing the resilience of our communities. So we hope everyone is enjoying the PhilGEOS so far, and we're ready for more of our invited speakers. So can you type, everyone, ready in the chat box?
Even I participated in this exercise because I'm ready and excited for our plenary sessions.
Yes,
this is something I truly look forward to.
Thank you for your participation, everyone. We will now be moving on to the plenary sessions, but before we do that, we have some reminders for our dear participants. Okay, so for our plenary sessions, if you have questions, you may use the Q&A function of the Zoom webinar. And if you wish to ask questions live right after the presentation, please use the raise hand function of Zoom. And also for live questions, please note that to introduce yourself and include to whom you are directing the question. Okay? And also keep the questions brief. Okay. So that, Homer, can you do the honors of introducing our next plenary speaker?
Yes, Tinette, of course. let me do the introduction. So let me introduce. He was appointed as the first Director General of the Philippine Space Agency, or PhilSA, where he is now the leading build-up of mobilization of the newly created national government agency. He provides executive direction and supervision over the operations of the PhilSA government agency and serves as the presidential advisor on space matter. He's also a full-time professor of Electrical and Electronics Engineering at the University of the Philippines, Diliman, where he held the 𝗏𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗽𝗏𝗏 Professorial Chair. He obtained his BS Electrical Engineering from UP Diliman and his PhD in Electrical Engineering and Telecommunications from the University of New South Wales in Australia. He was the UP 𝗏𝗵𝗶𝗏𝗽𝗏 Postdoctoral Fellow at the Berkeley Wireless Research Center, that's BWRC, in the University of California, Berkeley, and at the School of Electrical and Computer Engineering at UC San Diego, UCSD, in 2004 and 2005, respectively. In 2007 and 2009, he was a visiting associate research scientist back in UCSD. His stewardship of the Phil Microsat and Stamina for Space programs contributed to the timely completion, launch, and operation of the microsatellites 𝐷iWATA-1 and 𝐷iWATA-2, as well as nanosatellites Maya-1 and Maya-2. And it has yielded 10 small satellites in various stages of development from 2014 to 2020. He also provided leadership and direction in establishing and developing ground station and mission control operations, data archiving and distribution, remote sensing and artificial intelligence processing on geospatial data, academic program development, local small satellite research and testing facilities, and of course, local industry engagement in space technology. Of course, now let's all welcome none other than the Director General of the Philippine Space Agency, Dr. Joel Joseph Marciano Jr. A round of applause for Dr. Marciano, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Homer. Thank you, Christina. Thank you very much to UPTCAGP, to the organizers of PhilGEOS. It's an honor and privilege for me and for the Philippine Space Agency to be here with you and to be given the opportunity to present to this Philippine Geomatic Symposium. So let me, I have a presentation. How can I share my screen? Okay. Make sure I share the sound here. Here we go. Right. So the presentation is called Space Information Infrastructure for digitalizing our economy in the new normal. And once again, my name is Joel Marciano. I'm with the Philippine Space Agency. It's good to see everybody. Let me start, I guess, with this slide. So for the most part, I guess, when we think of space, we see it really as more of a far-fetched notion, something that does not really affect our everyday lives. But that's not true, of course. Space enables technologies that have come to widespread use. Everyday applications such as global navigation systems. Of course, GPS, everybody's familiar with that, especially here in the symposium. Satellite internet, maps, all of these draw data from satellites that are orbiting in space. So without space technology, the convenience and benefits brought to us by this infrastructure and services would not be possible. Valuable research that has gone into sending astronauts to space have also found its way to everyday objects that many of us use extensively. Air purifiers, water filtration systems, wireless headsets. This infrared thermometer that we often see as we enter establishments that made ubiquitous in this pandemic measures thermal radiation in pretty much the same manner as we measure the temperature of stars and planets. So when we think of a space agency, what is it about really? What does it do? Well, a space agency creates innovations, not just for the pursuit of knowledge, but increasingly for societal benefit, for the socioeconomic development of nations. Research and development in space yield breakthroughs that have contributed to aspects of everyday life and therefore spurring socioeconomic development. A space agency also provides new means to address global challenges in terms of, by providing additional vantage point to assess and address problems here on the ground. So this results in advances in materials, health and medicine, transportation, computers, disaster resilience, environmental sustainability. So in 2019, the size of the global space economy was estimated by one report, Bryce reports, to be approximately $366 billion. This is broken down into 17.4 billion in the so-called upstream, where we have satellite manufacturing and launch, and $253.3 billion in the downstream, which accounts for the larger share. If you add those numbers, it doesn't add up to 366. That's because the rest goes to government budgets and human spaceflight programs or non-satellite industries, around 90 billion. So this is the landscape within which PhilSA and our flagship programs are set upon. The increasing commercialization in the use of small satellites and other space activities embodied by new space enterprises. These open opportunities for the Philippines to be part of the global value chain. So we might think of space as a faraway notion, but the truth is each and every one of us is living the space economy in our daily lives. So we are living in the space economy. Now, speaking of the Philippine Space Agency, that is the landscape where we enter. The agency was established to Republic Act 11363, an act establishing the Philippine Space Development Utilization Policy and creating the Philippine Space Agency, signed on August 8, 2019. It mandates the PhilSA to be a primary policy, planning, coordinating, implementing administrative entity of the executive branch of government that will implement the National Space Program in line with the Philippine Space Policy. So the PhilSA is directly under the Office of the President, which helps the agency in carrying out its work that cuts across various agencies and groups under the executive department. We do have a board or a council. It's called the Philippine Space Council. It was established by the Philippine Space Act. It serves as the advisory body for coordination and integration policies, programs, and resources affecting space, science, and technology applications. Chaired by the President, with the Secretary of Science and Technology and Secretary of National Defense as the vice chairs, and those are the members. The chair of the Senate and House Committees on SMT, Secretary of NEDA, Finance, Foreign Affairs, Agriculture, Environment, Natural Resources, Trade and Industry, and Information and Communications Technology. And so the Philippine Space Act also speaks of 6 key development areas. These are national security and development, space R&D, space education awareness, international cooperation, hazard management, climate studies, and space industry capacity building. So we expound on this on the right. For example, under space industry capacity building, PhilSA shall promote improved public access and resource sharing for utilizing spaceborne data, space-enabled services, and space-related facilities. And also, it shall undertake programs that accelerate the transfer and diffusion of space technologies and know-how throughout Philippine society towards developing a robust and vibrant local space industry and economy. So we hope that we could engage and work together with all of you in this regard. To enable improved access, resource sharing, and to accelerate the transfer of and diffusion of space technologies into society, the country has been making substantive investments in space technology through the development of small satellites and the capabilities of young Filipino engineers and scientists. Since 2016, through the efforts of the DOST, prior to the establishment of PhilSA, 4 small satellites built by Filipino engineers in collaboration with Japanese universities have been put into orbit. You might know them as 𝗬𝗏1, 𝗬𝗏2, scientific Earth observation microsatellites, as well as 2 nanosatellites, Maya-1 and Maya-2. Now, last month, October 2021, we also deployed 2 more nanosatellites, Maya-3 and Maya-4. They are important in the sense that we built them from Philippine universities. That means we're now taking what we learned from overseas and implementing them in our own local units, our universities, and proliferating them into other local institutions. So we're now taking the next step in the Philippine small satellite development with the MULA, or Multispectral Unit for Land Assessment. This is an advanced multispectral imager shown in the bottom there that is about twice the mass of the Diwata class microsatellites, and its mission is still, of course, Earth observation. So why these small satellites? They present an alternative or alternative to the traditional larger satellites. One way to describe this small satellite movement is its adoption of a lean approach or philosophy. So what is this lean approach? Well, first of all, satellites are, when we build satellites, they're important objects. They're important, have important space missions. So a satellite is considered important. But in the lean approach, the failure of one satellite is acceptable. So you're not necessarily risk averse. You can tolerate some risk. And when you tolerate risk, you can use cheaper parts, perform less tests, therefore resulting in shorter time of development and lower cost. Now, because of that risk that you're tolerating, your satellite may fail, but then you can launch another one quickly. Or perhaps instead of just building one, you can build 5, 10, even 100. Because of the shorter time and lower cost, then it might fit your budget. So a lean satellite is one that utilizes non-traditional risk-taking development and management approaches to provide value to the customer at low cost and without taking much time to realize the satellite mission. So this is a new approach in building these satellites that we have also been adopting in our own when we teach this to our universities. So in 2020, a report by Bryce Tech on small sat highlights, there were 1,202 small satellites deployed into orbit in 2020 through 68 launches in the midst of the pandemic, no less. This is a significant number, representing 40% of all small satellites launched in the last 10 years. 40% of all small sats launched in the last 10 years were launched last year in the midst of the pandemic. And the biggest use for these small satellites, according to this pie chart, is communications, which eats up 83% of the pie. In 2020, remote sensing accounted for 11% of all small satellites launched. So this graph shows the breakdown of small satellites by application. Looking closely, from 2011 to 2020, small sats are no longer just for scientific and technological demonstration purposes. The blue portions that you see there are becoming smaller, slowly being replaced by larger portions corresponding to remote sensing, technology development, and communications. Again, for 2020, last year, communication small sats, specifically those of OneWeb and Starlink, dominated the scene. Now, in this slide, we see the Philippines joining a community of nations that have built and deployed small satellite infrastructure in space. In this 2020 report, we see here the different countries that have more than 5 government small sats. And by adopting this lean philosophy and approach to building satellites, we are able to participate and contribute to the global space economy. Now, these satellites or space-based infrastructure are necessarily complemented by corresponding ground infrastructure. Here we see complementary ground facilities in the country on the right. The ground stations communicate with the Philippine Earth observation satellites and those of other countries that we have access to. There's also a facility here called CORE, a Computing and Archiving Research Environment, based in DOST ASTI, which serves many scientific R&D projects in the country. So the Philippine Space Agency, with its targeted home in New Clark City, is planning to expand this high-performance computing facility as it is an engine of growth and development for our knowledge economy. The space and ground infrastructure capabilities that are shown here in this slide represent important components of the space value chain. They equip our country with the capacity to create and add value from space through the creation of high-value industries in the upstream and the generation, processing, analysis, and distribution of vital geospatial information in the downstream. So value creation from space is integral to the mission of the Philippine Space Agency. Now, these technological capabilities, infrastructure, and skilled personnel serve as a springboard for us and a foundation in which to build on. So our succeeding programs shall institutionalize, operationalize, and sustain these efforts. Now, let me introduce, as part of PhilSA's build-up, the Space Information Infrastructure Bureau. Within the PhilSA, among other important units, we have established this SIIB. SIIB shall develop, acquire, maintain, manage, operate vital infrastructure for the PhilSA that focuses on the generation, computation, processing, archiving, distribution of spaceborne data through ground segment and downstream facilities. It consists of the following divisions: Space Mission Control and Operations Division, High Performance Computing Information Systems Division, and the Space Data Mobilization Applications Division. Now, SIIB is headed by Dr. Ariel Blanco, who was recently appointed by the President to be its first director. I'm sure many of you know Dr. Ayet and have worked with him, and PhilSA is very fortunate to have him. Now, under Dr. Ariel, his team consists of Ms. 𝗍𝐶𝐺𝐿𝐵𝐵𝗀𝐺 as Chief SRS of the Space Mission Control Operations Division, R.K. Arañas as Chief of the HPC-ISD, and Finn Meneses as Chief of the Space Data Mobilization Applications Division. I guess in your community, in this community, you know them very well, and we're very fortunate to have them in PhilSA. Now, these satellites, ground stations, high-performance computers, and various processes and capabilities correspond to components of the value chain in Earth and marine observation. So the components are as follows: the Earth and marine observation infrastructure, such as access to satellites, whether sovereign or those of other countries. Then the data itself, which is available to us in suitable form, perhaps maybe not encrypted or what's properly georeferenced, etc. Then there's technical capacity to host the data in terms of relevant infrastructure, such as ground stations, antennas, and our servers connected to high-speed internet and global networks. Next is the analytical capacity to interrogate the data should exist. This may be embodied by capabilities in data science, analytics, machine learning, AI, or geomatics. Next step in the value chain is perhaps the most crucial one in terms of extracting benefit from these activities. This corresponds to the resources and the impetus to invest such resources, including funding, into acting on the insights from the data. Oftentimes, this is the so-called valley of death. Now, once proper and timely action is taken, only then can economic value from Earth and marine observation be realized. So that funding and that impetus to act on the data is a crucial component of this value chain. Understanding the space value chain, in this case, the downstream Earth and marine observation, is important to PhilSA. As a country, we aspire to establish capability and create value at each of these steps in the value chain. The PhilSA Space Information Infrastructure Bureau is tasked to play a significant catalyst and enabling role in this endeavor. Now, according to a 2019 Australian government report for APEC, the value of Earth and marine observation to the Philippine economy in 2019 is estimated at $657 million. This serves as an estimated initial baseline on the current economic contribution of local space data activities and capabilities. This estimation of current and future EMO is based on an economic model that was built around three components, according to the report. Number one, the potential value added delivered by EMO for each industry, and also in two non-market applications, such as weather forecast and value to consumers, and disaster management cost savings. Second factor is an economy's absorption rate. This depends on its level of development and the advancements of its industries. The third component, factor, is the structure of the economy, which accounts for why some industries tend to benefit more from Earth and marine observation technologies than others. This economic contribution of EMO comes from its application to industry, such as transportation, mining, utilities, and from sectors such as health, finance, agriculture, disaster management, and broader society. EMO data is used to inform better decisions by public entities, private businesses, and members of the community. It also can enhance many activities by lowering costs, improving outcomes. So quick example of the estimated $657 million economic value contribution in this pie chart. Let's say for mining, the estimate is around $40 million where EMO data is used for environmental compliance, site exploration, managing weather-related risks. For example, the timely shutdown of offshore rigs in bad weather. For agriculture, fisheries, and forestry, $107 billion, which is used for, or EMO data is used for precision agriculture, production planning, monitoring harvest activity, locating fish stocks and algal blooms, assessing forest condition, preventing illegal logging, verifying sustainable harvest levels, and assessing weather and climate-related risks. So according to this report, with targeted investments, the economic contribution of Earth and marine observation to the Philippines' gross domestic product, or GDP, is projected to grow to $5.4 billion by 2030 and to $6.6 billion in 2030 with collaboration across APEC economies. So these numbers represent opportunities that encourage the PhilSA with the local R&D institutions, industry and private sector partners to participate, grow, and invest in the global commercial space value chain, moving towards a post-pandemic situation. PhilSA aims to realize the economic contribution of EMO by pushing its application towards evidence-based policies that can lead to better governance, economic efficiency, and economic digitalization. Well, having said that, well, COVID-19, of course, has impacted the industry. And speaking of the economic contribution of space, here we see how COVID-19 has affected activities in the space sector. Like everything else, the space industry was impacted by the pandemic. For satellite manufacturing, manufacturing processes slowed due to social distancing and cleaning requirements. For satellite services, shift to remote work increased demand for broadband connectivity, perhaps through satellites. Aviation, energy, maritime markets negatively impacted. Operators reduced revenue projections, increased demand for pandemic-related imagery, geospatial data, and analysis of satellite data. For the launch industry, providers continue launching missions not requiring international travel. Delays to missions requiring international travel to launch facility for teams and spacecraft. Where there's actually quite limited impact on vehicle availability when production lines remained open or units were in stock, and launch providers were acted to sustain the supply chain. Now, for ground equipment, communications equipment, sales, distribution, installation activity were impacted by travel restrictions. Manufacturing of smartphones, other GNSS-enabled devices were disrupted. Sharp reduction in sales of smartphones and other GNSS-enabled personal devices. Now, despite the hampered product deliveries and disruption of the supply chain and other negative impacts caused by COVID-19, there is still a positive outlook and optimism in the geomatics and space-enabled services sector in general, as shown in the projected increase in absorption of satellite data across various services and markets, according to one report. And so the Philippines must be prepared to participate in, contribute to, and benefit from this projected growth. We should not miss this boat. That is why our programs in PhilSA continue to invest in building space capabilities, both in space upstream and in the downstream. These PhilSA flagship initiatives are as follows: mobilizing space data for digital inclusion, digital economy, digital government, and advanced satellite development, or building satellites as a vital component of a national information infrastructure. So it is through these flagship initiatives that we hope to make great strides in implementing a national space program that consistently provides reliable, quality, space-borne data and competitive industries, and that would secure the long-term sustainability of our overall plans and programs in space that creates value and economic benefit for the country. So just quickly, for the upstream, that means increasing local content in satellite hardware, firmware, and software. Shown here are examples of locally developed modules that are on board the 𝗤𝗏2 satellite. Also a software, I think this is supposed to run, but let me see if that does that, yeah. This is a simulation software that takes actual flight data from the 𝗤𝗏2 to build a simulation of a pass, and assesses, therefore, the target pointing capability of the satellite, among other functions. So our growing portfolio of capabilities now include optical imaging, radar imaging, ship tracking, ham radio communication, data store and forward. And in the future, PhilSA looks to further hone these capabilities in telecommunication, intelligence and reconnaissance, and advances in optical, thermal, and radar imaging. Now here's a quick update on some downstream Earth observation activities. So we have a COVID-19 space data dashboard that is publicly available. That's the website. It aims to foster better understanding of the impact of COVID-19 on the environment and the economy by using geospatial data or satellite images. So just one recent update on this. Through the space data dashboard, we continue monitoring the built and natural environment. During the pandemic, this image shows East Avenue, corner 𝗏𝗏𝐺. The one you see there during the pandemic, there's right here. This one right here shows March 18, 2020, just when ECQ was declared, and then the other one is taken just last week, November 9th, using a 0.8 meter pan-sharpened SkySat image. So now we can see stark differences in vehicular activities in the two images, especially in the 2020 image was taken during ECQ, and the 2021 image was taken just 4 days after alert level 2 was declared. I'd like to direct your attention to the bus depot right here. You see here during the ECQ, many buses in the depot not traveling, but during alert level 2, they're out and about. So these images help us visualize how lockdowns affect the transportation system and mobility of people and economic activity. We also use satellite imagery to estimate area and shoreline length. Shown here is the work of colleagues from PhilSA and UP, where they estimated the area and shoreline of the Dolomite Beach located along Roas Boulevard, Manila. The data used here are PlanetScope 3-meter resolution captured on October 31st, 2020, and a SkySat image 0.5 meter resolution captured on October 27, 2021, so about a year apart. Images were obtained from the Pedro Center from the UST-ASTI. For the 2020 image, NIR was extracted from the image and binary map was generated using a threshold value. A shoreline was traced from the binary image to get the area of the Dolomite Beach. For the 2021 image, edge detection was used to estimate the boundary and area of the Dolomite Beach. So this is data is used to monitor the state of this project and given to relevant groups. So in this pandemic, in line with the theme of the Geomatic Symposium, we have experienced limited mobility due to community quarantines. Field surveys are difficult to undertake, adversely affecting on-site monitoring programs, gathering and validation of data, and our R&D programs. Moving forward, we can expand the community of geomatics and environmental studies by engaging different members of the community to contribute through citizen science, or the collection and analysis of data relating to our environment by members of the general public, typically as part of collaborative projects with professional scientists. So for instance, students and teachers can participate in the data collection and scientific process by providing data and filling the gaps. This not only helps traditional scientists who are working on satellite data set and related information, but it also benefits the students and teachers and other researchers alike in gaining better understanding of how satellite data is used. So PhilSA aims to promote various tools that enable participatory science. So while we have a view from space, it's also important to get the measurement and validation from the ground. So measurements that can be made on our mobile phones, for example, can help us validate and calibrate images and data obtained by our satellites. Example of this is Globe Observer, shown on the slide, and locally developed apps such as Masdan and Kuha also promote citizen science. Masdan in particular is a project of Project Mappable and is envisioned as a platform for citizen science to map and monitor water quality in Manila Bay. So these initiatives align with how the PhilSA aims to mobilize readily available satellite data and in situ measurements, which can be shared with the public through a dashboard. Now, let me also share with all of you, in line with our community engagement, PhilSA recently hosted a leg of GNSS Asia Hackathon, November 12 to 14. The hackathon encompasses 4 different challenges for using GNSS, such as emergency applications, environmental challenges, maritime applications, and tourism and cultural heritage. The participants must leverage Galileo, Europe's global navigation satellite system, to come up with solutions to be applied across these areas. So PhilSA was able to get at least 4 teams to participate in the Philippine leg of the hackathon and several more in the ASEAN leg. Several PhilSA personnel also acted as mentors or jurors in the event. It is hoped that by hosting such an event, PhilSA was able to further promote the use of GNSS for smart and Internet of Things navigation and positioning applications in the Philippines and the ASEAN region. Here we see that the Philippines was able to gather not just the most number of participants in the hackathon, right, but also the number of top spots in the competition. So Lila, which addresses challenge number 2, environmental challenges, is a mobile app that uses Galileo to bridge together people and the environment in determining the location of possible planting activity sites anywhere in the region. It was able to get the top spot in the Open ASEAN Hackathon. Project 𝗤𝗏𝗺, on the other hand, is a project that proposes to create a search and rescue device with two-way communication to emergency response teams using Galileo's positioning system and search and rescue service. Project 𝗤𝗏𝗺 was able to get the first place in the Philippine leg of the event. So congratulations to all participants and to the winners of this event. So there are really many more examples that we can offer as far as utilizing space data and building space technologies and these capacity building, outreach, and sustainability activities. I urge everyone to go to the PhilSA website and look for this 3-volume compilation of space S&T and applications in the Philippines, which we call Our Place in Space. And that's the website. So what you've seen here is really just the tip of the iceberg. It's just the start of our journey. And so to know more about our efforts, please take a look at these ebooks. It's an interactive ebook. And please enjoy them. So to end, let me play this short video. So thank you very much. Leave you with our mission and vision. The PhilSA envisions a Filipino nation bridged, uplifted, and empowered to the peaceful uses of outer space. And we will promote and sustain a robust Philippine space ecosystem that adds and creates value in space for and from Filipinos and for the world. Thank you. Pleasant day to all.
And so thank you once again, Dr. Marciano, for that very clear and comprehensive presentation on the Philippine Space Agency and on the space information infrastructure, especially highlighting the space science and technology and development. And I'm excited particularly for the multispectral unit for land assessment, or the MULA. So space research and development indeed creates innovations and new means to address the global problems. And we are very, very proud to know that the Philippines is now participating in what we call the space economy. So at this point, we will be taking in more questions from our attendees, maybe one or two from our attendees for our plenary speaker, Dr. Marciano. So while we wait for some of the questions, we have one question here from our panelists. Since the Philippine Space Agency is also a relatively new agency, what are opportunities available for our researchers and attendees to join the agency? So are there opportunities for them?
Yes, definitely. Various kinds of opportunities. First of all, of course, you can apply to be part of PhilSA. I think we have, we just concluded another application call, but I guess there are more positions. It comes in tranches. So that's one way. And through the programs of PhilSA, of course, we can participate through those activities. Apart from our Space Information Infrastructure Bureau reaching out to various groups to build an ecosystem. So maybe that's one way to look at it is we are building an agency, but we're also trying to build an ecosystem. So we'll reach out to universities, private sector, government agencies, public sector, to work on collaborative projects regarding mobilizing space data and increasing the utilization of space assets and infrastructure. Other ways, of course, if you're interested in doing your master's and PhD, you can apply for scholarships that will soon be available from PhilSA. So we have launched that scholarship program. It's called Ad-Astra, PhilSA Ad-Astra Scholarships. And we're also going to be running a fellowship program, which I think is also quite scalable in the sense that we were trying to lower the barriers of how we can bring in people from universities, from industry, into an organization like the space agency to be in residence, so to a fellowship. And so all of these programs are in store for us, and we will make the announcements, and we'll certainly invite everyone to be part of these, all of you to be part of these programs.
Yes, so it's great to know the investment on collaboration and our with the partners from the different sectors. So no questions yet from our attendees. So I think we can end with an invitation to our researchers and the participants. What are their websites? Oh, sorry, you have a question? Wait, so we have a question from the Q&A. So what is the future of PhilSA, or Philippine Space Agency, as a government office? So will you be having regional offices for all over the country?
I'm not sure whether it's all over the country, but certainly, there. Well, first of all, the headquarters of PhilSA is, according to law, is going to be in Clark, and so we will be outside of Metro Manila right now temporarily. We are here close to UP Diliman, close to our laboratories in the university, and also to DOST ASTI. But when we transition some of the facilities that DOST ASTI has built, for example, the ground stations in Davao, and here in Quezon City, certainly in Mindanao, there will be some presence there because of the ground station, Earth observation ground station there. So I think that's as far as it will go at the moment. But there's another ground station that DOST is also running in Dumangas, Iloilo, but that's still being used in a certain project. So that's all been lined up eventually for transition to the PhilSA in the near term. So we look forward to that. But even then, we're not waiting for the transition. We're actually working together very closely with UP groups, people in the university, and in DOST as far as building our space ecosystem is concerned. So yeah.
Okay, so thank you for that question. Any more questions from our attendees? From Sir Art. Are there plans to commercialize some products offered by the Philippine Space Agency? For example, some satellite products may be requested for minimal fee or per image style or subscription-based access to select products. So
well, certainly there are plans to cater to the private sector and other groups, and perhaps in commercial terms, or maybe even into collaboration. So the answer is yes. In fact, in PhilSA, apart from the Space Information Infrastructure Bureau and our Science and Technology Bureaus, there is a Space Business Development Bureau as well. And that's really a part of our industry capacity building and resource access sharing mandates. So it's certainly yes, and we are learning and gaining proficiency in this based on the experiences of our partners in terms of commercializing these activities both in upstream and downstream. And we have been engaging partners abroad, space agencies abroad that have also gone into the commercialization route. We're learning from them, so that's a good advantage for us coming into the community at this stage where many people have gone before us. And advantages we learn from them, and we can try new things as well. So yeah, thanks for that question. Certainly.
Yes. Actually, have another question that's also related to the products. So to what extent are they free? Because there's a question here that are the satellite images from the Philippine-made satellites available for download, especially the multispectral images? So okay. Yes.
I think you're referring to 𝗬𝗏 2. Well, that's available. That's currently being run out of the university because it's still a DOST-funded program called Stamina for Space. So yes, it is put in a portal, and it is I think they have a mechanism by which you can register and request for these images, and at the same time also possibly give them some tasking, contribute to the tasking of the satellite. So that's an advantage of us having our own satellite, is we can control the tasking as well and the scheduling of those tasks. So I would say yes, and there are other images, not necessarily from our own satellites, but from satellites we access and subscribe to. And currently, the terms for this, because it is hosted by DOST ASTI PEDRO, it's for use of government, and that includes SUCs. So if you're working with a government institution or a public university, then that's one way that these satellite images can be made available to those collaborations through government partners and SUCs.
Yes. So we have actually subscriptions for the different satellite images. I think Planet is one.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Planet is also available through an academic program. I know. Some of you guys are taking advantage of that, which you should. It's a very good thing.
Okay, and I think we can have one last question from, yes. Are there current plans to start our own satellite positioning system, or at least an augmentation system? That's yeah.
Well, in space, in terms of satellites, perhaps not yet. We're actually eager to also work with the QZSS system in terms of the applications, and perhaps even some of the chipsets that can be more available, more readily available to build some of the devices that use these satellites. So at the moment, the focus is on the application and the downstream side of these GNSS constellations. But we do not preclude the possibility of this, and when we collaborate with other nations and working with them to contribute to this augmentation of these navigation and positioning satellites. Certainly, it unlocks many things. For our country, if you're able to have sovereign navigation satellite capabilities, then on which you can communicate with your drones and all these other devices that use navigation.
Yes. Okay, so we have an answer also from Sir Finn Meneses. The 𝗬𝗏 2 images are already accessible through the QGIS app developed by the agency and PEDRO. So thank you for that, Sir Finn. So I think that's it for our question and answer portion. So once again, thank you very much, Sir Doc Marciano, for addressing our inquiries. Okay. So lastly, is there some invitation for research from our participants, or what websites or pages to follow so we can get updates on events to watch out for?
Well, yeah, PhilSA is, you can go to space.gov.ph or philsa.gov.ph, and we're on, of course, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Please follow us there, so you can get updates on our programs and our activities. And thank you for this opportunity again.
Yes. Okay, so once again, thank you, Doc Joel, for gracing our event and addressing our inquiries. And we are very excited to see how how high and how far the Philippine Space Agency is bound to go.
Thank you.
So on to our next plenary session. We have sessions that, dedicated for our sponsors. So our first plenary talk would be from our diamond sponsor, SuperMap. So SuperMap software is an innovative GIS platform, software, and service provider. SuperMap is the largest and top GIS software provider in Asia and has already established its name in Japan, South Korea, Malaysia, and Indonesia. SuperMap focuses on providing innovative GIS platform software and solutions for various industries, such as smart city, land management, real estate, urban planning, pipeline management, and public service. Okay. So here to present on navigating a post-crisis world with SuperMap GIS, we have the Business Development Officer, Engineer 𝗏𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗽𝗏𝗪. So hi, Ma'am 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.
Hi, good morning. So let me just share my screen. All right, so good day, everyone. I am 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and I represent SuperMap in the Philippines. I remember being a student presenter some years ago for PhilGEOS, and now I'll be presenting as an industry partner. And it is my honor to introduce to you the SuperMap GIS technology and company. This morning, I'll talk about navigating a post-crisis world with SuperMap GIS. This is the outline for my presentation today. For a brief overview about our company, SuperMap Software Company Limited, or simply SuperMap, was founded in 1997 by Dr. Zhong, and with that, we now have 24 years of experience in the GIS field. SuperMap is headquartered in Beijing with 38 branches and offices in mainland China, Hong Kong, and Japan. Last year, we were able to put up a representative office in Indonesia, and early this year, a physical office here in Pasig, Philippines. As of now, we have 4,000 employees from all over the world. Shown here is the SuperMap partnership map. As you can see, SuperMap has already been promoted in the market in South Korea, Indonesia, Malaysia, South Africa, in the US, and even some countries in Europe. So next is about the SuperMap technology. The latest of SuperMap technology is known for its 5 key technologies, which we summarize as BITDC. We have the Big Data GIS, the Artificial Intelligence or AI GIS, 3D or 3D GIS, Distributed GIS, and Cross-Platform GIS. So let's get to know this one by one. First is about Big Data GIS. SuperMap has the high ability to do big data management, analysis, data processing, and visualization. With big data technology, we can handle multiple services over large area. One such case is the epidemic map for different provinces and cities in China, such as Shandong, Henan, Jiangsu, and Shanghai. The epidemic map service provides localized epidemic situation, epidemic trend, nearby cases, public transportation information sharing, medical resources, and prevention suggestions to further strengthen the transparency of epidemic information. Here is a demo video showing the big data. This is the Chongqing city's dynamic track in the morning peak hour. So we gathered the real-time GPS data of the taxis and showed them in the map. We can further use this service not just for taxis, but also all other public transportation to monitor traffic situation, movement of people, and resource logistics. The next key technology is artificial intelligence. In 2018, SuperMap released the technology of AI, which mainly provides 3 functions: the GeoAI, the AI for GIS, and GIS for AI. Our technology supports the Python environment, so your mapping experience is made easier using the object detection tool in SuperMap software. With AI GIS, we can also predict or estimate a certain value in the future, given a parameter, or recreate possible scenarios. AI GIS is also used in making professional thematic maps, saving us time if working on many data. One spatial analysis operator is GeoFence, which is the real-time dynamic determination of which targets fall into the selected fence with support for calculation of enter, hold, exit, and other detailed state. We can use this for air traffic control center, cash truck, oil tanker, and other targets for real-time monitoring and fence border. Here is another demo about AI. This is the detect result of the palm trees. Before, if we want to extract these palm trees, we need one person to click these palm trees one by one. But in SuperMap, we have the AI technology, so you can just train the machine about how the palm tree looks like, and then the machine will extract this automatically, greatly saving time and manpower. The third key technology is 3D GIS. Let's take a look at the multiple sources of 3D that SuperMap can support. This include but are not limited to the 3D terrain, oblique photogrammetry, BIM, point cloud, artificial model, water surface, underground pipeline, and 3D field. With SuperMap, we can do various 3D analysis like this ones. This is the skyline analysis, getting the view of the skyline of the buildings, and the visibility analysis from a given viewpoint. You can also view the underground pipelines and surface building at the same time at the same platform. And this is to get to the sections of the building. Now, I would like to share the impressive progress that SuperMap did in this specific data model, BIM. It's actually a method of acquiring 3D data. At present, BIM, or Building Information Modeling, is applied in the field of design and construction, but it cannot be used alone in the operation management after the building is built. So what SuperMap did was to integrate GIS with BIM. You see, GIS can help BIM throughout the building's life cycle management. Like in the design stage, it can be extended from building designing to urban designing. In the construction stage, we can work with cameras and various sensors to carry out construction supervision. And in the operation and maintenance stage, GIS can do a lot. For example, property management, emergency management, among others. So this video shows the operation management system of the Shanghai Center. It's a development based on SuperMap. We can click one floor to fly to view different models and utilities. On the left, you can control the models that you want to show. When we click the specific model, the detailed information will be shown on the right side. Here are other functions in the query. You can input the keyword here, we'll click, and it will run to this area. Also, with this model, we can do some evacuation simulation, like this fire evacuation simulation here. And here's the view of different utilities in different floors. We can do utility maintenance with this. So this is what the actual operations and control center of Shanghai Center looks like. SuperMap also integrated GIS with augmented reality. Not only AR, but we combine AR, GIS, and BIM. Now we can show GIS and BIM in the real world and plan building management. So here, this is the SuperMap technology integrated with AR. We can move one building model on top of the desk, like this SuperMap building in Chengdu. With this model, we can do some 3D analysis, like the ones we showed a while ago, the visibility analysis from a given viewpoint. Also, with the AR technology, we can use the month's body to control these models. We can get the sections of the buildings from the side, from the top, or even zoom in or rotate the model. We can also get inside the building to view the pipelines, and we can check their information, like this one. Next is voxel grid. This is the answer for continuous space. So rather than seeing hundreds of columns full of pollution number rate, we can show the information to a more user-friendly way. Using voxel grid, we can absolutely understand which area has a higher pollution rate, or we can express the wind field dissipation over an area. The fourth key technology is distributed GIS. It mainly has these 5 technologies: the cloud-native GIS, Edge GIS, distributed spatial analysis and processing, distributed spatial data engine, and geo-blockchain. Distributed spatial analysis and processing and spatial data engine are related to the big data technology. The geo-blockchain is one of the new features that we released on the newest version of our product, which integrates the blockchain technology to enhance the GIS capability. And the cloud native and Edge GIS are both related to our cloud GIS. So the last key technology is cross-platform GIS. In SuperMap, we can support different operation systems like SUSE, Linux, Unix, Windows, and many others. Next that I'll be showing is the SuperMap software product. This is the product system provided by SuperMap. They can be divided into 3 parts: the cloud side, the edge side, and the terminal side. On the cloud side, we have the iServer as the server application to publish our spatial data and GIS capability. The iPortal helps us to easily create our GIS portal. The iManager is for operation and maintenance. On the edge side, we have the iEdge, which can help us enhance the performance when the network is not so good. On the terminal side, we have the Terminal GIS for desktop, the iDesktop and iDesktop X. And the Terminal GIS for components, they are the iObjects for different coding languages such as C++, Python, and Java, and the new technology for blockchain and Scene SDKs for game engine. Then we have the iMobile and iTablet, and under web, we have the iClient for JavaScript, mainly for 2D and WebGL for 3D. Among the products that I've mentioned, I want to highlight iPortal, where you can build your own application center to create and share various services in the web. You can create web applications without the need for coding, like for online mapping, data insight, like this one's. And for big screen application, this is a taxi monitoring platform for Chongqing City. We can also do data editing. For example, you can adjust the node of the city boundaries by adding, deleting, editing vector data like point, line, and polygons. We can also customize vector tile and play with and do analysis of 2D and 3D maps on the same platform. Lastly, I'd like to show some disaster and emergency solutions by SuperMap. Here is the emergency and disaster management in Indonesia. So here you can input the filter. Upon clicking, it will zoom into that area. You can click to check the information of this area, like this one. It says here, lava fall. This one is location intelligence platform in Indonesia. So during the pandemic, many cities and districts adopted the grid-based epidemic prevention and control measures and relied on grid-based platforms to implement such operations. Wuhu City added an epidemic management module to the city comprehensive management platform. The platform integrates 3 functions: task distribution, information collection, and statistics. Similar platforms were also adopted in other cities and provinces, such as the Guizhou Province Epidemic Decision Analysis System and Epidemic Map Service of Pingdingshan, Henan. I have shown you previously the iPortal, where you can create your own dashboard like for the coronavirus. In here, you can display your base map or those from open sources such as OpenStreetMap. Then you can display statistics in the forms of graphs and charts. With this, you can easily customize how your dashboard looks like with different options for fonts and colors. So customizing how the dashboard will look like. Here we put our title and other details and labels like the date and time, and also other data such as the number of confirmed cases, recoveries, that's based from our data sources, of course. So adding more details. So this is for the creation of our own COVID-19 dashboard. And that's our output. So in the last 24 years, based on this technology and with the help of this software, SuperMap has provided different solutions in different industries like water management, mapping, land survey and management. We have health, safety supervision, earthquake, education, emergency command, construction and planning, transportation, and many, many others. So there are hundreds and thousands of possibilities where we can apply GIS. I'd like to take this opportunity to let you know that SuperMap is still expanding and would love to welcome new members of the team. We have positions in the business development and technical team. You might also be interested in being our partner, so let us develop together. Should you be interested, do not hesitate to contact us through these channels that you see on your screen. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity given to us in sharing about our company and technologies. Together with SuperMap, let us innovate the world with geointelligence.
All right. So thank you very much, Engineer 𝗏𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗽𝗏, for presenting for your introduction on SuperMap and updates on the developments from the industry. And of course, the company's support for making this event happen. So at this point, we shall be taking in some questions from our attendees. Maybe you have questions for Engineer 𝗏𝗏. So you can type them in the chat, or you can also use the Q&A function here in Zoom. So while we wait for some questions, so are there websites that we can follow, Engineer, or pages that we can follow to?
Yeah, sure. So you can visit www.supermap.com to read more about our company and the latest of our technology. We also post the latest trends there.
Okay. Thank you. We have questions from Maria Rosario Ang. How much is a SuperMap subscription, or do you offer academic licenses?
Hi, Ma'am Bang. Actually, Ma'am Bang is my thesis advisor before. So regarding the academic licenses, actually, UPDG already subscribed to the SuperMap just this year. I think that's June. So our students already have their one-year licenses.
Okay. And we have another question that's this time from YouTube. Does SuperMap have special license for? Okay, it's also the same. We have licenses for students.
Yes.
Are there also other universities?
And actually, for our attendees from private companies or the government agencies, we can offer trial licenses for you.
And we can access them from the same website.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So no more questions for our SuperMap Diamond sponsor. Yes. Okay. So I think that's it for our Q&A portion. Again, thank you, Ms. Engineer 𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗽𝗶, for your presentation on SuperMap. And for attendees, they can also contact Ms. Engineer 𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗽 is also available throughout, I think, the 3-day event. If you have any questions or inquiries, so you can chat her up or send an email. So thank you. So we will now move on to the next plenary talk, which is from our platinum sponsor, the Geospectrum Marketing Services. So Geospectrum Marketing Services is a Filipino-owned business entity that caters to the growing need for accurate, up-to-date, and timely information to support decision-making and planning activities. Geospectrum distributes high-resolution satellite imagery and value-added products that address a wide range of applications. So here to present on a new paradigm in satellite imagery, Geospectrum's offerings in the Philippines, we have the Business Development and Marketing Officer, Mr. Miguel Del Rosario.
Thank you very much, Ms. Christina. I'll just share my screen if I can. Thank you. So again, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Good morning to our esteemed speakers, fellow speakers, Secretary de la Peña, Director Dr. Tayag, Dr. Marciano, and Engineer Belando, Chairs Dr. Principe and Assistant Professor Ramos, and all the organizers and participants of PhilGEOS 2021. My name again is Miguel Del Rosario. I'm the Business Development and Marketing Officer for Geospectrum Marketing Services, and I will be presenting a new paradigm in satellite imagery, Geospectrum's offerings in the Philippines. I would like to thank again the preceding plenary speakers on their illuminating presentations. In particular, Dr. Marciano has given us a thorough overview of the flourishing space economy here in the Philippines and around the world. To further appreciate the theme of this conference, Geomatics in the New Normal, Shifting Paradigms in a Changed World, allow me to take you on a brief look at the past. In 1957, Sputnik 1 was the first artificial satellite to briefly orbit and communicate with the Earth. This was followed by Explorer 1 in 1958, detecting cosmic rays and meteorites in orbit for about 100 days. And another landmark in the history of remote sensing and Earth observation was the launch of Landsat 1 in 1972. Since the launch of these pioneers, sophisticated satellites have been orbiting our planet Earth, providing vital and life-changing services like navigation for safe and efficient transit, meteorological data that enables advanced warning for disaster mitigation, live television, international phone calls, and internet access, even in the most remote areas of the world. But in all of this, there was a glaring and persistent gap, especially in the domain of Earth observation and imaging. The revisit rates of the few Earth observation satellites in orbit then meant reduced opportunities for avoiding cloud cover. Due to this, it could take months to generate a usable mosaic or composite for a given area. There were also issues of low flexibility and slow access. The back and forth required between provider and client to define imaging areas and capture specifications, not to mention the processing and transmittal of satellite data, took a lot of time. These factors and issues relegated satellite imagery to niche and high-budget applications. These sound very much like the problems of the 20th century, but users had to endure and go around these obstacles up until almost recently. Let's take a look at the changes that are unfolding right in front of our very eyes. In 2009, the Rapid Eye constellation began to take shape in low Earth orbit, with 5 identical satellites providing medium resolution 5-band optical imagery. This was followed in 2013 with the launch of the first of many SkySat high-resolution optical imaging satellites. There are now 21 satellites in the constellation. And starting in 2014, Planet Labs would deploy 28 Dove satellites on a single launch, pioneering an agile approach, as Dr. Marciano has alluded to, with the lean approach to satellite development nowadays. Pioneering an agile approach to satellite development, this current PlanetScope medium resolution constellation is made up of constantly iterated and improved Dove satellites, now numbering more than 180 at any given time. This new approach has quickly found proponents in every corner of the scientific community, with the Philippines successfully launching in quick succession Diwata 1 in 2016, Diwata 2 and Maya 1 in 2018, Maya 2 this year, and many more on the pipeline. 2016 also saw the launch of the first NewSat high-resolution optical imaging satellite by Satellogic. This year sees that constellation grow to 22 strong, with both multispectral and hyperspectral capabilities in a single platform. 𝐼𝐶𝐼 is the first to realize the benefits of these approaches in the non-optical imagery arena, launching its X1 SAR or synthetic aperture radar satellite in 2018. 𝐼𝐶𝐼 plans to grow their constellation beyond the current 10 satellites in the coming years. These developments represent a new paradigm in satellite imagery. The unprecedented number of satellites in orbit is enabling daily or even sub-daily coverage of most areas of the Earth. The proliferation of SAR makes possible the observation of the Earth at night and during long bouts of inclement weather, like during typhoons. These are all delivered through cloud-powered online infrastructures at near real-time speeds. You can even stream the imagery to your own platform without hosting the imagery yourself. And a very important implication that was underemphasized before the pandemic, remote sensing through satellite imaging allows us to reduce our reliance for time-consuming and sometimes hazardous fieldwork and expensive ground station installations. Improvements in data capture quality have facilitated data fusion that supplements and complements existing ground and aerial data. Geospectrum Marketing Services has recognized the benefits of these developments and have engaged international partners and collaborators such as 𝗏𝗏𝐼, Schedulo, the Remote Sensing and Technology Center of Japan, NTT Data, Planet Labs, 𝐼𝐶𝐼, and SpaceNo. These partners and collaborators have helped us introduce this new paradigm in satellite imagery to local and international entities from both the public and private sectors. So let me introduce to you our suite, our spectrum of geospatial data products. So for optical satellite imagery, we are offering SkySat, Satellogic Multispectral and Hyperspectral, and PlanetScope. For SkySat, so it has a 50 centimeter pixel resolution with 21 satellites currently in orbit. This allows us sub-daily monitoring, as well as in 5 spectral bands, which enables an experimental video feature for users who might need this functionality. So for PlanetScope, also from Planet, this is a 3.7 meter pixel resolution with 180 satellites in orbit and increasing. This enables us to monitor the Earth daily, even up to 4 times in a single day. What separates PlanetScope from all the other optical imaging platforms is that it is always on. It is always capturing as much as it can, which enables a continuous near daily archive of imagery since 2016. So starting this year, PlanetScope is offered in up to 8 spectral bands, which enables for more types of remote sensing applications. So another of our offerings is the Satellogic multispectral imagery, which has a 70 to 99 centimeter pixel resolution with 22 satellites in orbit and increasing every year. This enables sub-daily monitoring in 4 spectral bands. In that same satellite platform, there's also a hyperspectral imaging sensor with a 25-meter pixel resolution. And again, since it is on the same platform, this enables sub-daily monitoring. This hyperspectral platform has 29 spectral bands and a very large swath area. We also offer non-optical satellite data. So again, this further improves our ability to take a look at our Earth. With synthetic aperture radar, we can penetrate clouds and even monitor at night. And with the new paradigm of satellite imaging, even these satellites have a daily revisit option. We also offer 3D and digital elevation models for applications like vision analysis and radio propagation analysis, among other applications. So we have the 𝐼𝐶 SAR, the AW3D DEM, and the ALOS2 SAR products. So for the 𝐼𝐶 SAR, so these come in different imaging configurations. So this is a synthetic aperture radar that enables us to continue monitoring at night that ignores cloud and smoke cover with a VV polarization. Daily monitoring is possible, and it is ideal for land and even for open seas because of its large area capability of up to 10,000 square kilometers per scene. So another SAR product is the ALOS Pulsar 2. Another product is the AW3D digital elevation model. So this is a suite of digital elevation model products with resolutions from 5 meters to 50 centimeters. Global archives are available, especially for the AW3D digital elevation model products. This enables the creation of derivative products like 3D ground features of buildings, vegetation, bridges and roads, as well as advanced applications for vision analysis and radio wave propagation analysis, and aircraft terrain avoidance plan. So now, with the immense volume of data introduced by these new platforms, Geospectrum recognizes that efficient processing and analysis pipelines are required to extract meaningful information from the data. We have set up a sister company, Geospectrum Analytics Services Incorporated, or 𝐏𝐸𝐺. 𝐏𝐸𝐺 is developing remote sensing and geospatial analytics services, along with WebGIS software, to promote the use of satellite imagery in this new paradigm. We have also partnered with international companies like Planet, EarthEye, and SpaceNow, who provide AI-powered analytics for advanced operations like change detection and object detection. With all of these, we hope to provide our partners in the Philippines comprehensive solutions that would help navigate the various problems and challenges introduced in this changed world. So this has been a brief presentation from Geospectrum. We hope to collaborate with all of you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much as well, Miguel. Finally, we've met. So the face behind those emails. So actually, for you, those are curious, during the course of the pandemic, I've been reaching out to Miguel and the rest of Geospectrum Marketing for some of my satellite imagery needs, and I can definitely vouch for the agility and ease of working with the team. So now we're opening the Q&A for some questions from our audience. So just key in your questions within our chat box. Okay, so come on, keep those questions coming, guys. Okay, so we'll wait. Yes, yes, Miguel. So for those who are questions, kindly key them in. So, and while waiting for our audience, I do have a question for you, Miguel. Personally, what do you think? What's next for the satellite technology industry?
Yes, definitely. It's a very exciting horizon that we are seeing with satellites, especially in Earth observation and in imaging. So we're only seeing the very start of this agile approach that we have been seeing in the past decade. This enables very different applications that researchers like us have not been able to realize before. Before, maybe we've been able to conduct studies on a yearly basis because that was the only data that was available from legacy satellite platforms. But we are seeing now a steady trickle that is increasing to a very strong torrent of information and of research products, where we could see our researchers really taking advantage of this daily and weekly assessment, where we could really, for example, rely on data fusion with, for example, our ground stations, with monitoring stations like air quality monitoring stations, and even with aerial platforms like drones. So definitely this new development in satellite imagery is enabling a really intensified amount of data.
Okay, sounds exciting, Miguel. Thank you for the answer. So actually, I'm quite excited as well. Like, how do we merge the satellite imagery with like mobility data, which is becoming more frequent, especially with the proliferation of different social media platforms. Okay, so thanks for that, Miguel. Come on, guys, if you have any questions from our audience. Okay, so let's just wait for a few seconds if there's any question. Okay. So of course, if you're quite shy, maybe you can just message Miguel from the numbers and email addresses that he has mentioned. And Miguel, do you have any social media platform, or where do they reach you? Like via email, of course. I know your email, but maybe it's better that you're the one to share it.
Yes. So you could see our activities through our social media platforms, namely in Facebook and in LinkedIn. We also have a website, www.geospectrum.com.ph. And if you would need to contact us, you could contact us through that website or through those social media channels. So we're very responsive. And we could also email us at info@geospectrum.com.ph.
Thanks again for sharing, Mix. And yeah, looking forward to more collaboration with you from all my inquiries. So thank you very much for answering each one of them. So with that, of course, we'd like to thank again on behalf of the organizer, Miguel Del Rosario from Spectrum Marketing. And of course, such a great presentation on the history and challenges on satellite imagery, as well as demonstrating this new paradigm. So no longer are the days that data source is a big hurdle on our research studies, right, Tinette?
Yes, and we are very, very happy to know that there are a lot of opportunities and resources that the students have. Kahit na during the pandemic, where there's limited access to some resources.
Okay, so with that rounds up our series of plenary talks this morning. Again, we'd like to thank our plenary speakers for sharing updates from the industry. We wish to present our speakers with the certificate of recognition. Tinette, do the honors.
Yes, the certificate of recognition reads, this certificate is proudly presented to Dr. Joel Joseph S. Marciano, Engineer 𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗽𝗶, and Mr. Miguel Del Rosario for sharing their invaluable expertise as a plenary speaker in the Philippine Geomatics Symposium 2021, given the 17th day of November 2021. So signed by the co-chairs, Dr. Art Principe, Ms. Rose Ann Ramos, and the department chair, Dr. Jack Sarmiento.
So perhaps we can also have, we still have Miguel, Ms. Marife, and Dr. Marciano in the conference, so we can have a picture-taking opportunity.
Yes.
Okay. So of course, I'd also like to invite our co-chairs, Ma'am Roshan Ramos and Dr. Jack Principe, so that we have a photo together.
And also, we invite our attendees to show their appreciation through the chat. So show our gratitude to our plenary speakers for a great plenary talks this morning.
Okay, so there we have Doc Marciano and Ma'am Roshan Ramos. Should we turn off our camera so that it will be the 5 of you guys? So yeah, let's have them take the spotlight in it.
Yes.
Okay, so tech team, be ready with our picture taking. So just let us know once we're done. So 1, 2, 3, smile, panelists. One more. Last one. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, so I also took a personal version of your picture, guys. So once again, thank you very much, Doc Marciano, Engineer Marifel Velando, and of course, Mr. Miguel Del Rosario. So moving forwards, it's about lunchtime already. So typically when we're doing this physically, we're already hearing the sounds of those buffet. But for this virtual version, Tinette, what do we have in store for them?
So we have next would be our poster and parallel technical sessions. But before we transfer to our breakout rooms, we have some reminders for our participants. So can we have on screen some of the reminders to our participants? Ayan. So we have house rules for our presenters and participants. So for the presenters, please be reminded that presenters are required to use their full names as indicated on their registration forms. So with their titles or designation at the beginning. And also please include your presentation number at the end. So for example, if your oral presentation, Engineer Rose and Ramos, and then you have the presentation number 075. Please also note your session schedule and make sure that you are in the Zoom room at least 30 minutes before and after the presentation. So the Zoom links are actually sent earlier by the computer center. So you can access those in your emails. And a few minutes before the end of your presentation, the host will place a spotlight on you and allow for unmuting in preparation for the live Q&A sessions. So our speakers are required to be on the live Q&A sessions, even if we've submitted the recorded presentations. So if there are questions unanswered during the live Q&A, please take time to chat with the participants and answer their questions. And please be also reminded to wear the proper attire, semi-formal to formal, for the live Q&A.
Yes, and of course, there are also some guides for our participants. Participants are required to use their full name. Do not use your nicknames as indicated in their registration form with their title or designation in the beginning. So for example, for Dr. 𝐺𝐵𝗵𝗶𝗹𝗶𝗽𝗍, that's Dr. 𝐺𝐵𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗽𝗍, but for me, just call me 𝐏𝐵𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗽𝗍. For all participants, kindly mute upon entering both the plenary and parallel sessions conference meeting. We will unmute everyone for networking breaks during the parallel sessions. Also, please wear proper attire. So looking at me and Tinette, that's about semi-formal to formal. If you're planning to turn on your video for live questions on networking during the parallel technical session. So some colored shirts will do, okay? And lastly, please keep your questions brief and follow house rules for questions. So with that, are we ready with our poster session, technical team? So what's next for that?
So the poster session will actually run for about 30 minutes. And then to be followed by the parallel technical session, which would run for 1 hour. I think we have 2 parallel sessions in store for our participants today. The T1A, which is Geomatics for Natural Resources Management, and then the T1B for Urban and Regional Planning Applications of Geomatics. So we hope to see our participants on either of the 2 parallel technical sessions. And we have actually, I think, four presentations per technical sessions that we can expect.
Yeah, so I think that's about it for me and Tinette as your host for today. The technical team will be handling the parallel technical sessions, and we'll be seeing you tomorrow for plenary day 2. Thank you very much for joining the Philippine Geomatics Symposium 2021. Again, my name is 𝗏𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗽𝗍.
And I'm Yin Tikman.
Yes, so see you guys during the parallel technical sessions. Thank you.
Yes, good day, everyone.
some announcement that will be flashing as well. Thank you very much, guys. Some reminders also on the chat and back. So please check your